Hello, everybody, and welcome to Alternative Interactions. I'm Gary,
And I'm Sonja from the Tree of Knowledge.
and we've got a reality talks, is what we called it, wasn't it? So this is another reality talks with Gary and Sonia. And how are you today, Sonia? Are you good?
I'm doing really well and I'm excited about talking about this subject because it's so important. But how are you doing, Gary?
I'm great, and like you, I'm really looking forward. Um, obviously, people think of water. Water's the subject today, and I know how important it is. And I really do understand how important water is. But we're completely blessed today to have Sonia with us, who is remote viewer and is able to really go down into depths of the layers that we would not normally see or understand of water and its importance with everything. So for me personally, just before I let Sonia go, because I know she's got loads of notes and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a while. So once Sonia gets going, I probably won't interrupt you, Sonia. I'm going to let you go because I know once you get the flow and you channel in and everything like that, you have to go. And so
Uh,
don't worry about that. We're looking forward to that. But I know that water is a fluid. Um, but air is a fluid, and it's part of the fluid dynamics of the realm of the toroidal field of consciousness. It's the lubrication that enables everything to flow. It's also a memory. So there's water memory. So water has the memory, and it can impart and take and move information from one place to another via what's it called? I always it's I've gone brain dead on that one. Um, I can't remember now. My brain. I always it's dyslexia. I always forget this bit. But it's when atoms are connected, isn't it? And so that connection of the atoms from one place to another um, is what water enables. It enables the flow of energy simultaneously. It's part of the connection of everything. And it's also creational energy as well, isn't it?
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when we were talking the other day, which probably was a couple weeks ago, I sat down last night for like 15 minutes and I'm like, oh, I just put down Gary and water. That's it on my list. And I sat down and I'm like, okay, well, let me just scribble a few things. And then I started, all the stuff was coming in. So I made a little list of topics here. I don't know if anybody can see that. We'll hit them one by one.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, oh, I'm writing this down. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Cause it was just flooding through. Cause, it's like a conduit just flooding through. So the first thing I put down is water. And the very first thing I put down is conduit. Water is a conduit. Just like a tree is a conduit, so is water. But water is a bigger conduit. Everything in this simulated reality is based on water. That's why I say in this reality where we're always being told we're going to have a water shortage. And it's like, really, in a water world, we're going to have a water shortage. So, not to go too deep into that, we'll talk about the first thing that I wrote down, which I was surprised that I'm writing this. It's almost like automatic writing because I wasn't even thinking this. I was thinking cymatics and all this other stuff. And then this is the first thing that came out of my pen. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Water and the four kingdoms. What are the four kingdoms? We have the animal kingdom, we have the plant kingdom, we have the crystalline kingdom, and we have the etheric kingdom. And when I wrote that down, I'm like, I forgot all about the kingdoms and how water is actually the connecting point, the conduit to those kingdoms in this realm, in all of the densities and the dimensions. And water being the fluid conduit of how this entire simulation works.
Yeah.
It's for, with computers, you have hard, which is hard information, which is on your hard drive, and then you have soft information on your soft drive. Water is equivalent to the soft drive of how this entire place works. So I'll go in real quick to, I don't know how quick it's going to be.
Yeah. What it
So
was, I was trying to remember, which just fits perfectly, but it's quantum entanglement.
there you go.
That was what I couldn't remember. Sorry, it just come to
Yes,
me.
and that is absolutely perfect because all of this animal kingdom, plant kingdom, crystal kingdom, and etheric kingdom is quantumly entangled through water.
Yes,
Water is the highway, it's the slide.
it certainly is.
So I guess we could start with the animal kingdom first.
Yeah,
So when we look into the animal kingdom, that's anything that has an avatar. It could be sea life, it could be land life, it doesn't matter. It could be bird life, it could be insect life. It goes into all these different things. We'll just lump everything into the animal kingdom in that. So birds, animals, sea life, insects, anything like this. And I noticed that it had a everything. And I don't care if it's just a small amount, even insects, if it weren't for the water being the lubrication of these avatars, none of it would even function. And it's like, oh my gosh, in that, in the avatars themselves, whether it's animals, plants, whatever, what's the main thing that will die if you don't have it? Water. You can be lacking food for a really long time. You're not going to die right away. You don't have water for up to 5 days, even plants will die without water. So this entire realm was designed off water. So we'll go to the plant kingdom. And I thought it was very interesting. You know how we have waterfalls and everyone's like, where are these waterfalls coming from? They just come up out of the mountain and they're coming down. They're not, streams aren't going upward because water only goes one direction, down. That's it. Streams don't go up, they go down. And I had done a video a long time ago when I had saw that in our old world, we had trees that were bigger than the snow globe we're in. And those trees had roots. There is a huge body of water underneath of us called prime water. And this prime water is unadulterated. It is the purest water ever. And these tree roots are connected to that water. And it's like having a gas tank. Say there's my car's out of gas and I'm not by a gas station and you come up and I have a hose and I'm going to steal some of your gas, or you're going to let me borrow or take or whatever some of your gas. We're going to get the inertia through the hose to get the gas going, put it in my tank. You'll give me a little bit, then you'll cut it off. It's that inertia is how the tree roots are working. And through the tree roots of these old organisms, these trees that are as big as the snow globe, this is where the water is actually coming from, because those tree roots go all the way down and they hit that prime water. And these trees were as big as mountains, bigger than mountains. You see them cut off everywhere. The roots are still there, and some of them are still openly attached to water. Think about when it rains and your trees get wet at the bottom of the trunk. It's because they're full of water now. They're like camels holding water. So water, it's showing you that water is the life. Water is the life. So in the plant kingdom, we have the water too. So we've got the animal kingdom, we've got the plant kingdom. I'm going to skip the crystal yet and the ether, and I'm going to say, how do these two things connect with the water? Well, if an animal has consumed water and the water is holding the frequencies and the energies of the animal, and then the animal goes and urinates or dies, that water goes back into whatever. The same thing with plants. If it gets re-evaporated out of the tree and it makes the atmosphere, now that water the tree was holding is in the atmosphere. Every bit of that water that was in the animals and the plants are now carrying an energy signature. Okay? Here's where water is the connection. Think of that energy signature being reintroduced into this snow globe that we're living in. And now it's holding the frequencies of the tree, the plant, any kind of vegetation, every living thing, animals, insects, whatever. So a bee, pollinating bee, it has moisture, it takes in moisture, and then it releases. So all of that information helps to recreate this reality because it goes back into the ether and gets recreated. So now we're going to look at the crystal kingdom. The crystal kingdom works a little bit differently. It does have water too. You could literally squeeze a stone to a certain degree and water will come out of it. even living crystals that keep reproducing. So now with that water going in and coming out, because they can also contain water and then lose water depending on the atmosphere, the temperature. So think of crystal is it is one of the highest forms of life because it can hold such information. And now that water is coming out of that crystal and being reintroduced into the atmosphere along with the plant, along with the animal. So there's that. That's huge alone. And then the ether. The ether is comprised of water. Water holds different forms, but it's still water. Mist and steam, ether. Okay, plasma, ether. It could be changed into a liquid, which is water, oceans, lakes, rivers, or it can turn into ice. And ice is just a condensed form of that, a frozen form of frequency, because that's what water is. It's literally a frequency that is frozen in that form of ice. So now that we know the base of what water is and what water does, how important is water? It's absolutely everything. So what happens if you want to change around and you don't want water to be the base anymore? You're going to chop down the trees. You're going to kill the animals. You're going to dry the atmosphere as much as you can because the trees, without the trees, you have a desert. You know what creates atmospheres? Plants, vegetation, trees. I'm going to sell you a bill of goods that there's too much carbon in the air. Because guess what? If there's too much carbon in the air, well, we can't have trees. What do they emit oxygen. And what do they need to live on? Carbon. Trees take in carbon and they emit oxygen. So here's where I'm going to add this in there too. What is emit? If you turn it around, emit is time, spelled backwardsly. So how do we create time? Water. Through the trees, through the atmosphere, through the ether, through the crystal, through everything. It's all connected. How do we create time? We create it through emitting water through everything. Now, if I wanted to destroy an entire reality and turn it to a desert, I'm going to chop down the trees. I'm going to get rid of the animals, the plants, and I'm going to try to shrink the water in here. And what have we been seeing? Devastations of forests, devastations of the rainforest, devastations of forests just around your neighborhood, building excuses of tearing down the trees. You lose an ecosystem. You lose how water gets reused in this reality. You lose the water, you lose the connection. So I'm going to stop there and let you add something because I have a whole nother direction I will be going in next.
Yeah, so the quantum entanglement of everything. Let's talk about it in a slightly more sciencey way, because what Sonja said was absolutely awesome. Quantum entanglement means that every single atom is connected to every single atom simultaneously. But that simultaneous connection has to have a fluid or a flow rate to it, a vibrational frequency that joins everything. And everything is joined by the vibrational frequency of the water that carries the information from one point to another, but it happens instantaneously. So quantum entanglement, there is no time difference between the understanding or what happens. So when an animal exhumes some liquid, that liquid has got memory of that animal. That then goes out into the atmosphere, and through quantum entanglement and fluid dynamics, that information is then spread like a Wi-Fi signal across the entire realm instantaneously. And that's partly how we can pick up people's energies and what's going on with them when we stand near them, because our toroidal field is only possible through water. So when you're hydrated and you're feeling good, your toroidal field's massive, and you can subconsciously connect into somebody else's toroidal field, and you can exchange information and energy. Now you might not be aware of it in the physical or mentally aware, but subconsciously, this is happening across the realm all the time, and our brains are filtering in and out all this quantum information from the water memory continuously, and it never stops, which is quite mind blowing, really, when you think about it, isn't it, Sonia?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm always saying, I mean, I'm going to diverge to this one. We're told that since there's a water shortage, we have to recycle sewage so that you can drink sewage water. Well, you think about where all those sources came from the sewage. They came from your urine, they came from your fecal, they come from throwing up, they come from being sick, they come from washing your body. It all goes back in and they recycle it. We have more water than you could shake a stick at, bigger than what we're living in underneath of this called prime water. The only reason you're recycling this shit water is so that you can damage.
Yeah.
Because in that, okay, so I'm sick, I'm throwing up, I'm going to recycle this water. I'm also throwing pharmaceuticals down the toilet because people do. I'm going to recycle this water. But is the water really recycled? You can only filter out so much. It's carrying the somatic patterns of I was extremely ill. I have liver cancer. I have cancer. It's still in the water. The information is still there. It's holding the information for cancer to grow. It's holding information for tumors to be, for this horrible thing and that horrible thing, and hair loss and this and this and that. You're never filtering that out unless you do one thing. You can literally change water by salt. Salt is a form of crystal. Remember the kingdoms? So here's where your salt comes in. Salt is crystal. It's a different form of crystal, but it's still a crystal. It's a dissolvable crystal. It's a soft crystal. So we know that crystals are great for computers. We know that crystal technology at one time was the only technology we had because it's endless storage, what you can do in crystal, because it's created like a spiral. And the deeper it goes, the smaller it gets. It never stops. It never stops. And instead of flat for information like graphene, which our computers are based off that, you only have front and back. Crystals are never ending. So you can take salt baths. You can take Himalayan salt baths, Dead Sea salt baths. You can take all these things and say you're extremely ill. You can put these salts in the water and do this for a week. Take a salt bath for up to an hour in these salts, Dead Sea salts, the Celtic salts. It doesn't matter, whatever kind of salts. And when you're in the bath, you're going to just do a few things. Heal me, heal my body, heal my body, heal my body, heal my body. Love, love, love. It's the highest frequency. And love, have this coming out of yourself in the salt water. And this is how you truly change the structure of water with salt, all kinds of salt. So basically, we all know about cymatic patterns. I can scream at water and it'll carry the cymatic pattern of that screaming, of that frequency, of that emotion. All emotions are a frequency. So you have this water, you want to change the structure from whatever it was, salt. Now, some of these salts you can definitely have a little Himalayan salt. You can speak over it. I love you. I love you. You love me. You'll heal me. I heal you, and drink it. You don't even need a lot because it changes the structure of not only what's in your cup, it'll change the structure of you. So you ingest this salted water or you bathe in this salted water, your skin is an organ. This will go into your skin like a medicine patch and it'll start to heal you. And that's huge.
Yeah.
Change the structure, you can do it with salt. You can also do it with electromagnetics. You can take magnets. You can put a magnet on the bottom and a magnet on top. And you can change the structure of water. They have things out now, cups and things, where it naturally does this
Spins. Yeah.
and can help change the structure of water. That is really good, but the best is salt itself with intention of your voice. It is number one. So that's why they're like pray over salt, it's not that you're praying, you're speaking. And it's the speaking or bless salt. It's not that you're blessing, you're speaking your frequency into the salt, programming the salt to change the water because water is a conduit. It holds information and then you swallow it.
Yeah. 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 A really good tip, if you're really thirsty and dehydrated, is to put a small grain, a little bit of Himalayan rock salt on your tongue, let
Mhm,
it dissolve, and then drink the water. And when you
mhm.
drink the water, because of the salt in your mouth, it changes how your body interacts with that water coming into you. And it actually changes the chemical reaction to the water. So your cells can absorb it so much easier. And that sounds crazy, but it really, really does work. And
Absolutely.
so, and again, it's very noticeable when people have had in the UK, if someone's having a heart attack, and they're in the ambulance, they put a saline injection or a saline drip into their arm. Saline. A
Mhm.
huge amount of salt is put back into the body to balance out the electrical impulses of the body so that the body has plenty of salt to enable that electrical pulse to be rebalanced out. Very fascinating. Really fascinating.
Nature does provide a lot of cures for everything. It's actually everything. One of those, if your electrolyte system is getting low, coconut water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coconut water. You want to rebalance your electrolyte system that runs your organs, all of them. It's your electrolyte system. Start incorporating coconut water into your diet, especially if you are sweating, because we do sweat these salts out of us and we need replacements. So you can go and find natural things like coconut water to replace that also, because you can tell when you're having low electrolytes when you start getting brain fog and you're just not thinking straight, because that's an organ. Your brain is an organ too. If your eyesight starts to get really blurry and you're like, okay, well, I might not have enough electrolytes, because the first thing that happens is you might get blurry vision. You have low electrolytes. Start drinking a little coconut water. You'll be right as rain tomorrow.
And grapes and watermelon are very good because the
Yes.
water inside a watermelon is actually structured water. It's
Yeah.
not structured water as such, but it's like H2O or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what it is, it balances into your body very easily. So something like watermelon or grapes can be
Mm-hmm.
particularly good for hydrating as well. I mean, obviously you have to eat a lot
Yeah.
of grapes, but
Yeah.
watermelon will really hydrate you as well because
Oh yeah.
it's got the right kind of electrolytes within its structure of the
Yeah.
fruit and very, very
Yeah.
beneficial.
Yeah.
Very.
Talking about that, water is used to its best, highest potential before it gets GMO'd in all of our fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
Because when we go to eat those fruits and vegetables, and especially if we eat them raw, we're getting, so you cut open an apple, you have a cymatic pattern in there. You cut open anything, there is a pattern of what it will do for you inside of that fruit or vegetable. And fruits and vegetables also resemble things in our body. What does a cauliflower resemble? Let me guess. Your brain. What does broccoli resemble? Your lungs. Your fruit and your vegetables are letting you know with the water content inside of it what the package is that's going to be delivered to you by eating these things. This is why in our reality they have so attacked our food and GMO'd all of the codes out of the fruits and vegetables because they are so beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. No, I agree 100%. Um, the war on us has been going for a very, very long time, and they the dumb elites, as I like to call them, know exactly how important water is. I mean, something that has always really upset me and annoyed me is in the UK we have water towers. So towers to give the pressure. They've gone more to pumps these days, but in the olden days they had water towers, and so the water would be pumped up into this tower and the pressure would go down and you know now what do they put on top of all these water towers?
Yeah.
Cell towers. They change the frequency of the water by having cell towers or 3G, or we better not say any more words like that because it will you get flagged. But we have Wi-Fi equipment. That's the word, Wi-Fi equipment placed on water towers. Well, the first thing that's going to absorb that energy is the water.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
fundamentally drinking Wi-Fi'd dead water that they
Yeah.
have killed on purpose. So it's got no, and it sounds a very strange word, but no nutritional value, because
Yeah.
water is nutritional. It really is.
Well, think about this. Everything is 5G, 6G, 7G, which is all detrimental to humanity. Now I'm going to turn your water conduit into 5G, 6G, 7G. And now you're drinking that poison because now it's become toxic and poisonous. On top of everything else they've done to you, why do they attack the water so hard? Because they know the water is the life. They know the water is the life. And if I want to diminish your life, I'm going to diminish the one thing that keeps you alive. That's the water. Yes, food, it does factor in, but food is not as big as you think it is. It's the water. It's the water.
Yeah,
So,
no, I agree 100%. I mean, and it's so important. And even growing food still needs water. And if you're
mhm,
feeding your food dead water fundamentally, or
yeah,
I mean, it's not quite the same nowadays with the rain, because the rain years ago used to be okay, and now it's not quite as okay. But if you do an experiment where you use a water butt um, to water one set of plants, and you use tap water to water another set of plants, the difference in the growth of the two is very, very marked.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. I was watching a lady the other day. She's from the UK and she had a channel where she's like back homegrown gardens with some greenhouses. And she goes, I just planted all these plants. I watered them. And in 2 days, they all turned yellow and died. And it's like, oh my God, I'm looking at that going, your water has had another attack on it in the UK. And it's like, you're not going to be watering all these plants that are like this big, up to this big. And in 2 days after you watered them in their greenhouses, they're all dying, turning yellow, being choked out. And then I saw something, and I'm going to mention this. They use a chemical that dehydrates the water, it takes the water out of the atmosphere. So they have taken this chemical and they have put it in the water source. And the more you drink, the drier you get. And that's what I saw with the plants and why they died, because they were literally dehydrated from the water she gave them from the tap, from the
Yeah,
hose. Horrible.
yeah, it's shocking. It is shocking. You know
Mhm.
what what
Oh,
what they do to us is well, karma is a big thing, and
yeah.
the karmic world is now coming round, and there's a big set of jaws about to go clonk onto them, and I'm looking forward to that one.
Oh, I am too. I am too. I used to watch a long time ago. This is going to date me. Do you remember Jackie Chan?
Yes, love Jackie Chan.
He did one, and I watched this movie. I watched all of Jackie Chan movies way back in the day. They were all on VHS. Remember VHS tapes?
Oh yes, yes,
We all
yes.
put TV and all of that down. And he did one, and he was, I can't remember what state he was in. It was in America, and it was about the water. And some guy came, and he was a taxi driver or something, and the guy died. Before he died, he said, Walter Strider. At least that's what he thought he said. And it was water strider. You know the water spiders that are on top? And it was carrying, this insect was carrying some kind of genetic modification. It was a female. And that when it would mate, it would create all these water striders that would put a toxin into the water that the more you drink, you would literally dry up and you would become a dead carcass and you could never quench that thirst. And it was to destroy the whole water table and the water, because these water striders would go out and they would go into lakes and rivers and eventually the ocean. So we could dry up the entire snow globe and destroy all water. Now, this was done back in the 80s, I think. I believe it was done in the 80s, maybe the beginning of the 90s. And here we are today.
I know. They always
And
tell you. They
here
always
we
tell you.
are today.
But wasn't it the Nestle CEO, who's part of the WEF organization, that said water is not a human right?
Yes, yes, yes. And there were other organizations along with them with that Harari. Oh God, the stuff that Harari puppet idiot was saying, that human beings have no real rights. You believe you do, but you don't. You're just a dumb, stupid, hackable animal.
Yeah.
And you have no right to land, and you have no right to belongings, and you have no right to food, and you have no right to water, and you have no right at all to even exist. And I saw a clip of this when he was spewing this crap, and I thought, this is what's running our reality. This is what's running our reality. This is that 1% on top, and this is their philosophy.
Yeah. Yeah. Quite shocking,
Mhm.
isn't it? Quite shocking. So,
Now,
so, so what else is your next list on the list of your amazing list?
oh, okay, so let me read here. I just did the one with the kingdoms, and the next thing came up was let me see. Oh yeah, we just talked about that. Energy creates somatics, and the somatics will hold in the water. And I tell you what, instead of using pharmaceuticals for a lot of things, we really should get a little container of water and inject with our voice cures to things, happiness or love or la 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 la, and start giving out these in little vials. Here's your cure. Start taking this every day. It would do a bigger effect. Now you're going to have the company come out, these pharmaceuticals who are running the world to make you ill at every expense. That's just a placebo. We are the placebo. Of course we are. We are the biggest cure to everything. We are the placebo. Here is where we can just, they have done so many test studies where if you have cancer and the doctor comes in and says, oh, this little pill, it's going to cure you. You're going to be fine. And the cancers are gone. So when the water is holding, because it's the conduit of all of these intentions, this one's for love, this one's for cancer, this one's for leukemia, this one's for some blood cancer, or this one's for tumors, or this one's for hair loss, or this one's for this, and this. You have just made the water the cure through your own voice, because you're an all-powerful God.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
We should be handing out vials of water to everyone.
Yeah. Um, I was brought across the attention of a guy called Raymond Grace. So it's not Raymond, but Raymond Grace. And he uses a pendulum. He's very, very, very gifted. And he has actually cleared water courses with, I mean, I know he uses his pendulum, but it's actually his intention. And
Mhm.
he has purified and cleaned water courses. And there's actually a well. This couple bought this house, and there's a well, and it had a high arsenic content, and they couldn't drink the water because of the arsenic content. And he went to the well, and he did an intention on it, you know, and they got it tested, and the arsenic had dropped significantly. And he said, well, that's not good enough. I want it arsenic free. And he went back and he did the intention again with his pendulum, and it was fundamentally arsenic free. And it was scientifically tested pre, middle, and after. And the water was changed to being the purest, loveliest, cleanest water you could imagine, and really good for everybody. And Raymond's actually spoken about a friend of his who uses water intention as his food. And the bloke has actually put weight on by drinking water only. He doesn't eat food, he just drinks water. And what he does is the intention of what that water is, he changes the water to be his food mentally by an intention. He fully believes it, he trusts in it, he connects to it, and the water memory of that water having been in all those animals and in everything else. When he drinks it, the water is then energized and creates everything he needs within his body because of the intention and the memory that is held within that water. It's quite fascinating.
Oh, cool. I'll definitely have to see that. You'll have to send me that.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
try and
actually,
find it.
what I'm actually seeing when you're talking about this is that it's also a form of manifestation. Water is the key to manifestation. So, your atmosphere is a percentage of water. So when you're manifesting and you're saying these things out loud, it's all here. All your building blocks are here. Like you said, the animals, the trees, the plants, the da 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 da. It's still all here. It's here because everything at one point has either sweated out or died or urinated or what does not matter, but it's out, it's here. And this is a form of one of your clairs coming online because of your chakra system coming down, being able to now utilize your whole brain, depending on what has come down, because those are lockdown systems. And the individual, are manifesting it into the ether. This is how you can also manifest objects. My daughter has manifested things in front of me, and it's like in the next blink, it's there. It's like, oh my gosh, she hasn't done it very often, but she did do it several times in front of me. And I'm like, how did you do that? She goes, well, I thought about it, I wanted it. She didn't even say it out loud, and there it was. And I'm like, teach me how to do that. My daughter Wendy, and it's like, oh my gosh. And it was simple things. We had a table and we were eating some bread with butter on it, and she cut some bread, two for her and two for me, and then she made it so much and so much butter and all this other stuff, and I ate two, she had two, and she was thinking, I would like to have just one more this thick, this much with the butter on it. And I saw the plate was empty. We both had two. I looked back down, and the next second there's another one on the plate, and I'm like, the bread's next to us, the knife is here, the butter's over here. She didn't touch any of it. Yeah, the bread hasn't gotten any smaller. I mean, not, another piece wasn't missing. And she looked down at me and she goes, Mom, didn't you take the second piece? I said, no, I've eaten both of my pieces. I'm watching you eat yours. Where did this come from? She goes, well, I was just thinking it would be so nice if I had one more. And she actually broke down how she did it here. And she was kind of like high when she was doing it. Not that she was high from drugs, but her thought was high. And I'm like, oh my God, you've just manifested that piece of bread and butter in front of me. All done because everything is here. All of it's already here. The building blocks are here, and it's the water.
Yeah. We did a show with Isabella, and we were talking about the creation of, we create the NPCs, non-player characters. We create them around us,
Yeah,
right?
yes, we
And
do.
and so I think a lot of people will be going, oh, how does that work? How does that work? I can't get my head around it. What Sonia just described with the piece of bread, and I'm getting flesh of the goose on this one. What Sonia just described with the piece of bread is exactly what we do subconsciously to create people around us, and it's part of the program of the game that we're in, the construct, to have people around us that we can interact, that gives us the illusion of the reality of the human contact in the human world realm of this game. And so we can create people coming into our lives that don't
Mhm.
even exist by doing this exact thing. And that's the crazy thing about this world, that when you really understand the importance of the water, how powerful we are as true beings, we are we are the creators of this realm. And when we say creators, we really mean we create everything.
Mhm.
And what we do, it's a bit like the Matrix film. You've got the base code running down the back, and when you think about something, the base code turns around and creates that thing. So I'm expecting there's a glass next to me. and now there's a glass. I know it was there, but it was created because it was created. And
Mhm.
so that code of creation has made that glass. Now, when we are not in the area, it's almost certain that there's nothing there at all, unless somebody else is looking at something and creating the expectation. And what is the conduit for all of that information, all the creational energy? Water.
Mhm. 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 I know I have one little story I'm going to say. This was probably about 5 years ago. I had gotten up in the morning and I wanted to check the weather, but I ran to the bathroom and I was thinking, I need my phone. I knew I had left it in the bedroom. And then I looked over and my phone was right next to me on the sink. And I'm like, what? And I picked up the phone and I'm like, I left it next to the on the bedstand. There's no way because I was like, oh, I need my phone. I just made that demand and I said it out loud. I need my phone because I wanted to know, what I was going to wear for the day because our temperature is erratic. And you don't know from day to day what the temperature was going to be. And it's like, oh my God, I just manifested my phone right here next to me. This is such a sim.
I mean, one of the stories that you told on one of your shows once was when you and your daughter were walking through the woods and you wanted to get somewhere and you're running out of time.
Oh yeah, the
And
Chinese buffet.
yeah, and so you manifested a change in the timeline to enable you to be from one place to another place without losing the time it should have taken to get there so that
Oh,
you could be somewhere where you needed to be there.
yeah, I will never, ever, ever, ever be able to forget that incident. Well, she literally had a brand new $600 smartphone that she had just purchased. It wasn't that old. And I had mine that wasn't that old, that was about the same price. And we looked at it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we got a half an hour to get there to the Chinese buffet because at the time, this buffet was spectacular. You had rows and rows and rows of things, plus a hibachi grill and a sushi bar, all for the big price of $11.99. All you can eat. Although I can't eat that much, I would eat a plate of food and be done for the whole rest of the day. But we had about a half an hour, 45 minutes to get there before it was over because then it goes to dinner prices, and dinner prices were like $30. That's a huge difference. So the next thing you know, we're trudging through, and I'm like, let's just go fast. And everything started to change. I started to feel like, you know what you feel like when you jump into a pool and you have clothes on, and then you get out, you're already heavy. If you jump into a pool with your bathing suit on and get out, then you feel heavy. But with all your clothes, that's what we felt like. So, and then everything changed around us. And it's like all the cars stopped. I couldn't hear the cars anymore. Thousands of birds just appeared. And it's like, I wasn't thinking about it. And I said, well, we've been walking for like 15, 20 minutes. What time is it? Are we even close? So we can get to the vehicle so we can leave. And then she pulled her phone out. She goes, boy, it's 26 after. It's the exact time before we started walking. Something's wrong with my phone. I'm like, oh my God, you just bought that $600 phone. How can it be broken already? What did you drop it? We're thinking logically, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, okay, okay, let me check and see what time it is. And I don't know what to say about your phone. Do you have a warranty on that phone? I mean, wouldn't you be thinking that? You just purchased it
Oh
600.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I pulled mine out and I turned it on and it says the exact same time as hers. And I'm like, my phone is broken. How? And I'm looking at her phone and I'm like, wait a minute. They're exactly the same time. So we start talking about this for another 5 minutes already. And it's like, wait a minute, we've been talking for 5 minutes and both of our phones say this. And at that time, when I'm starting to get upset and she's starting to get upset, and we're like almost to the car, all of a sudden I feel it, the change. And the phone just flips to the next number. And it's like, where'd all the birds go? How come the air doesn't smell fresh anymore? Where do those cars come from? Where do those people come from on the path? Yeah, that would have been impossible if it weren't for water because it connects everything. It connects the densities, it connects the dimensions. So the densities are inside of a single dimension. You have 12 of them. It connects everything. It is the fluid that connects everything. It's the software of everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy,
It's
crazy.
crazy. And again, trying to get your head around the importance of water. Um, and that's talked about. I mean, you talk about the 12 dimensions. The 12 dimensions of the water, we vibrate at a certain frequency, which means the water in us that we can absorb and interact with,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a socket. If you've got the wrong plug socket for the socket, ain't gonna go in. And
No.
that's exactly how it works with us in density and vibrational frequency through these realms of higher or lower consciousness. And as you start to vibrate at that different vibrational frequency, it allows you to use a different kind of plug to plug into a different kind of
Yep.
energy of the water to allow you to absorb and take on different information and frequencies that you could not access before because you were vibrating at you're vibrating here and it's actually here that you need to be at. And it's
Mm-hmm.
only when you vibrate at that the plugs match that you can then click in.
Yep. Yep.
And so this
Done
is one.
with emotion, Gary. It's
Yeah.
done with emotion. We were so excited about getting to the Chinese buffet. I mean, we were excited. They've even got 3 bars of just desserts. We were so excited about going there and eating that. We flipped a density inside of this dimension. And what brought us out of it was the loss of our broken phones. Oh, both of our phones are broken. We dropped and we dropped hard because then it was like the phone started working, all of this started coming in, the air didn't smell good anymore, and people were all around, and it was strictly attached to emotion.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I've got an itchy head at the moment, so I know what's coming. But this is another example which is not necessarily connected to water, but people who are having accidents in cars or vehicles, they say the time slows down for them.
Oh yeah.
Time didn't slow down. The water and your connection with the water, with your vibrational frequency, has changed due to the stress level that you're emitting out, and your frequency has changed, that it will change the time around you and your
Mhm.
perception of the time for that incident happening. Do you agree with that, Sonja?
Absolutely. Remember when I was talking about emit and time? You emit the frequency around you, which creates the time.
It sounds crazy, I know, but it is what the universe or our creational energy is all about. It's the water, and that, and again, that's why it's the waters above. I think even the Bible talks about the waters, and
Yeah,
then
separating the waters from below to the waters above.
yeah,
And it's always about water, isn't it? And it's always about frequency and it's about emotion. Emotion runs on a frequency. Emotion shows up as a cymatic in the water, as a cymatic in a frequency. You can take sand and put a frequency and it'll make the pattern. You can
yes,
take water like singing bowls, emit a frequency, and that pattern will show up in the singing bowl.
yeah. What one of the most interesting frequency somatics that I see in water is the Mayan calendar. So I've got the wrong T-shirt on today. Oh no! I've got one which is like the round Mayan thing with the face in the middle.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Well, you can create that frequency in water, and it will produce exactly the same as that Mayan. The Mayans have carved it into stone, but
Mhm.
fundamentally that's a frequency. Now I'm going to be cheeky now, so now I'm going to ask you to look at something for me because is that how the Mayans used, or is that the frequency the Mayans used to escape out of this reality and go to the next one? Has anybody ever asked you that before? I don't know if.
Never. So let me look into it because I'm interested too. This is what I do best. I remote view. So let me look and see what they did. They used horns. I've
Horns.
seen them use horns. And they placed barrels of water, and they had horns. And what they did was, when it was time to go, they literally blew into the horns, kind of like the Tibetans do to move stone and things like this, because there's documents on the Tibets doing this where they filmed it. But they were 1 degree higher. So they were using their, I would call it earthen technology, which is their pyramids and things like this. So what they did was, they had all gathered together. They started chanting and singing, which raised their vibration. And when they had hit that with the water, it was like a dimensional portal. So basically like a portal. And with the horns, the singing, and the chanting, boom, in that next minute, they simply weren't here anymore. They were still, okay, all of everything, all your dimensions, and all of your densities and your dimensions are here. It's the frequency that you carry depends on where you live next. This is how we're also going to 5D. It's the same thing. Starts here. You will hit 5D here first before you will ever get it here. You have to be here first. This will catch up. And so they had long-standing practices of raising frequency, raising vibration, working with horns, working with water. They knew all about that. They knew that this was a sky clock, which means it's a simulated sky. It's a sky clock. They knew it. And they had all got together. It was already plotted and planned. They knew they could see through. They did a lot of water scrying, because there's no such thing as time or space. And if you really wanted to look ahead in the figure 8, which is a circle turned over on itself, in the now where you are, and you wanted to look ahead or behind, you need to have water scrying technology. And you could have like pictures. Think of water scrying technology as being portals of water. Okay. And they knew what was coming into their reality. So they were gearing up to just slip a dimension. And that's what they did. They went to the 5D. They prepared their bodies first here, and then they went for it. And they all went for it. Not all of them made it, but the majority of them made it. And the ones that didn't make it were not on that frequency. It's also like, if you're not getting to that frequency, you're not going. You missed the train, you missed the boat, you missed the car.
Yeah.
Taxi left without you. And look
Yeah.
what I'm actually seeing.
Wow, that's amazing. But they used water, they
Yeah.
used frequency, and they were mindful to
Yes.
create that ability to then do that. That's really fascinating, isn't it?
Yep. And chanting. So this would match everything around.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they just, it's kind of like Wendy and I with the thought of, we want to make the Chinese restaurant. We didn't even know we had slipped. We didn't know it. We felt the effects of it, but we thought something was wrong with us. All of a sudden, we could hardly walk. Wendy's, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Where's the air? And I'm like, my God, I weigh 100,000 pounds. And as we're complaining about it and still trying to get there, because the only thought we had was Chinese restaurant, Chinese buffet, Chinese buffet. That was the only thing we were thinking about, regardless of what we were going through, which just shows you that even when you're in a higher density or a different dimension, here is what's leading you. It isn't the physical. You bring in the physical with you. You're enduring that. But if this never drops, your body will have to catch up.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Thank you for looking into that. I just wondered how they, you know, because I've seen that and I got straight away that that's a Semite, the typical round thing with the face in the middle
Yeah,
is a
schematic.
frequency from water, and so there had to be a connection between what they did and where they went and how they used it. I just didn't understand how, but
I've never seen that before. So when I'm looking at this, I'm seeing this for the first time too, going, oh, so that means that the Tibetans, when we see them with the long horns and they're raising, that's only one part of it. You need the water and you need the chanting. Now, I don't know, but they might have been chanting with the horn, but they didn't have the water.
yeah,
So you need the water to actually slip the dimension. And I keep thinking that this knowledge is absolutely known to the ones that keep living through these resets. So they've been tampering with, this is where you get your timeline wars and what have you. So that's just another whole story. But yeah, let me look on my list, make sure I didn't miss anything. Da 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 da. Um, I guess that's about most of it. And then I was talking about the dead. So I can go into that a little bit.
Yes,
So
please. Yeah.
basically, when we die, and this has been going on for a long time, Hollywood's been exposing some of it, and we haven't connected the pieces. So have you heard about when you die? It's just been, coming up more recently now, but it's been happening for decades. They're liquefying the dead and adding it to the water. Why would you do that? Why would you liquefy the dead and add them to the water? What do the dead hold inside of them that can take down humanity? Because they're not doing it for the benefit of humanity. This is weaponized. This is your silent war. Fear. This number one. Most humans are in such a state of fear that when you liquefy them and you put that into the water, you are now instilling fear to be the prime water carrier. That's why they liquefy the bodies and put them into the water. And you'd be surprised how many people you think you're burying somebody in a casket. And if you were to open it up before they lower it into the grave, there might not be a body in there. This is also going on.
Yeah.
A lot of bodies are not where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, and again, this is part of their total lack of respect for the sanctity of us. Whenever we talk about humans, and we use the term human, and you say, and you spoke about human before, something came up in my mind, and when we're taught at school that we're humans, yeah, but when we go to court, and if you use the term human in court, human doesn't mean us at all. Well, it does, but human in Black's law means monster.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. And when you look at the definition in Black's law under monster, it means a being that is not allowed to own, inherit property, or have monies or anything. So it basically means you're a monster with no ability to own or have anything. So when we start looking at things like human rights and we call ourselves humans, our understanding of the word is completely different to the legal definition, and they're going by a completely different book or definition of what that is. And so we're fundamentally calling ourselves monsters with no rights to own or have anything. And this is part of the skullduggery of how they twist and invert things. And the most of the people would never even know that. So when you've got a human resources department, actually it's a monster resources part. And under law, they can treat you and do anything that they want to you because you've gone into the human resources department. And the human resource under law means that you're a monster and you've just given all your rights away.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Awful. Awful. It's the same thing as calling yourself a citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do not want to be a citizen. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
But the whole thing with the water, when you start thinking about, we're going through this ascent, I'm going to add this in there because it's important. We're going through an ascension, and it's been going since 2017, and it's got to do with our mitochondria. So inside of each cell, blood cell, we have like 250 mitochondria. Mitochondria looks like a little pill, and it's got little lines through it, and it's a battery. And every time you want to move, it lights up. Think of a firefly, luminescence. And this action is creating energy so you can move around, or you'd be a blob on the floor. You wouldn't function at all. So the mitochondria is getting ready to flip. That means that when we started off in this schematic, we weren't solid in 3D. We fell. We had a big fall. Our mitochondria is connected to God's source energy, and it was on all the time. And that flip is getting ready to happen in this ascension, which would turn us from Homo sapien sapien to Homo illuminus. And we would be on, and it doesn't go back off again. It is going to be fed with the etheric water. You will no longer eat. You will not have to. Right now, because we're in 3D, we must have certain things for our mitochondria. Vitamin B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, magnesium, manganese, coenzyme Q10, and other things. This is
Yeah,
what
zinc and selenium and stuff like that to enable the cells to light up. Yeah.
For the mitochondria. So when this does the flip and it stays on, we become etheric, the fourth kingdom. And I'd done a video about this several years ago about us becoming the fourth kingdom. Everyone thinks we're going to become the crystalline kingdom. We were the crystalline kingdom to start off with. Everything was crystalline inside of here. This is why there's so much crystal everywhere. Then, of course, also the giants were turned to stone, which is crystal, another form of crystal, because there's two kinds of crystal. There's the organic crystal that grows, and there's the things that were turned to crystal, to like the Medusa, turning everything to stone. So, and that's beings. So basically, the mitochondria cell became an actual thing inside of each blood cell so that we could live, and it produces energy. But when that flips, we become a luminous. That's the ascension we're going to end up going into. And when we do that, no more eating, because the mitochondria will use the ether like it was meant to use. And that's huge because ether is water. And here you go, your breatharians.
And that we have been breatharians before at various times in history, haven't we? I mean, I know you've mentioned it before, but I did that Flint video, or that the hidden Flint, the hidden, and the way that they built the cities and the walls. I mean, I talk about Norwich. We had a river flowing through part of it, which would have been prime water back then. It would have been pristine water. It would have been giving energy and power to everybody else. The way the buildings were built, we were using flint and brick, which was high iron content, would have created a balance of the etheric energies. And so the balance of the etheric energies would have meant that we wouldn't have needed to eat. And the prime water flowing through, giving us the energy, would have been all we needed to sustain ourselves, or in wells from that prime water, we would have drunk the prime water and off we go. Now, many years ago, I worked for Coleman's Mustard and Britvic soft drinks in the UK. The site's since closed, but we had, I think from memory, 5 or 6 natural boreholes on that site, and we used to take the water directly from the underground aquifer and make the drinks from it. And
Wow.
oh yeah. And obviously the companies had to pay Anglian Water for its use, but it was like 15p a ton. 15p a ton of physical water would be the cost, and we'd pump it up ourselves. And I used to go around and do the safety checks sometimes, because a factory further upstream had actually pumped mercury into the river for many years during the 19th, which is Rowan Plonk, which is May and Baker, which is Bayer Crop Science. So during the 1960s, they were pumping mercury directly into the river.
And then
Okay.
we wonder why all of our seafood has got mercury in it.
Yeah. So we used to have to go and check this. So every now and again, we'd have to physically open the borehole cap off and drop something down to take a little sample, to then fill that jar up so it could go to a lab and be tested. And then one of my jobs was to do that every now and again. As a nice job. Walk around the site in the sunshine. But what was very interesting was that water was also used by a factory previously called Roundtree's Macintosh, who used to do Rolo sweets, a chocolate sweet. And when they closed and they used to use borehole water as well. Okay. And when they closed the factory, they moved the production up to York. And York has a different water table and a different, you know, different energy. And they started making these chocolates and they tasted horrible.
Ooh, I'm
And
not
they didn't,
surprised.
yeah, they didn't know why. So they then got like the supervisors and the people who made the chocolate in Norfolk up to York, paid them all, make the chocolate. They made the chocolate as they would, and it tasted horrible.
Hmm.
So they then took two tankers full of water, pumped from the prime water from below, the aquifer underneath Norfolk. They pumped the water into these tankers, moved it up to York, made the product with the water from Norfolk, and it tasted lovely.
Wow. I used to eat Rolos. I used to love them. So
so
I know
so
exactly what you're talking about.
yeah,
We had
yeah,
a
yeah.
commercial, something about Rolos. Love the Rolos.
That's the one. That's the one. But isn't it interesting how water from a different um, energy source or different region of energy will affect the taste of a product that's been processed?
Yeah.
Again, the
um,
water is very, very important and more complex than we really do understand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our water is the life. I mean, I'll just go back to water is the life. Without the water, you have no life.
Yeah,
It'd be a barren desert, what have you.
yeah,
And water is the life.
yeah. No, it is, even with the geoengineering, with the spraying that's going on, they're putting particulates in the atmosphere so that even the water that falls upon our ground now is tainted with metals and other things, you
Oh
know?
yeah. Barium, lithium, strontium, just to
Yeah,
name a few.
yeah,
Aluminum, that's a really
yeah,
bad one, causing all kinds of problems. And that's not to mention they've actually found DNA in the rain. Where are they getting that human DNA from? Again, human monster DNA from.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, it's really, really, really bad. So yeah, water coming right down to it. It's just what else is there to say?
I don't know. I mean, you've covered it brilliantly, Sonia, and I mean, I could talk about Vader Austin and some of the work that she's done, Yamamoto and some of the work he did with
Oh
the
yeah,
shouting of. Um, and also there's experiments that they've done with mice where um, they've they put a mouse in a sealed area. It's a lovely area, and the mouse had a maze and had all the food it needed and everything. It was a lovely little area, but in one part of it they electrified the wall, and when the mouse touched the wall, it got an electric shock, and so the mouse never went there. And what's very interesting is that mouse then had a litter, and 7 litters later, with the mice from that initial parent, would not go to that wall still.
yeah,
Yeah.
because because of the water. I know that they have done. We have done research where they talk about the ghost in the DNA, or everything has water. Even your DNA has a form of water in it. Don't
Yeah.
think it's just blood. No, there's a water mixture in there. Water carries information. And this is why you can carry all of your ancestors' information in you when you are born, because it's in the water, which is in the DNA.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. And that's the whole reason why they've put us through world wars, to
Yep.
create the trauma within the human body so that
Hmm.
the child that's born and the child's child and the child after that has that inbuilt trauma from the water memory via the DNA
Yep.
of that, to weaken the human psyche and resolve.
Yep. Absolutely. And then we could go into how to heal that, because as much as they put into it, there's an antidote to everything. And again, that is with your speaking out loud. Here's your biofield. Here you are. I release all traumas. I release all damages. They will no longer be carried into my water. And that's all water in my DNA, in every cellular structure. I release this. This is no longer a part of this avatar. I'm disconnecting and releasing it now. There you go. As simple as that.
Yeah. And and the other thing is, once you've done that, it's very, very good to put some salt on your tongue and drink some water and keep hydrated after that, because what you'll then find is your cells need to exhume that water memory, and the best way to do it is to make sure that you're hydrated well, so you can literally urinate it straight out, and you're
There it is.
peeing away your trauma, which is a brilliant way of doing it, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Just go drink some coffee. Coffee is a great diuretic. Drink a pot of coffee. Maybe over the entire day. Do a coffee purge.
No, that's brilliant, Sonia. Thank you very, very much for that. That really has given me stuff to think about and look into, for that, in the future. And it also adds, hopefully, it just puts a few more pieces of the puzzle together for the audience, the beautiful Femi, so that they can start to piece together the importance of water and understand that when from different shows and different people they look at, that they can put this information and make it more of a wholeness of understanding of where we are in this realm. And so when people talk about fluid dynamics or quantum entanglement and all these scientific words that they love to come out with, they're just talking about water fundamentally when you bring it back to its basic, which is amazing.
Yeah. And most of the time, not half the time, but most of the time, they use these big words so it'll befuddle you. So you'll stop listening because there's no reason to not be speaking on a layman's term, since everyone is a layman. There is only a small percentage of the population that is up at that level because most of us, we need things put in layman terms. Even I do. Put that in
Yeah,
layman terms for me. Thank you very much. So I can understand what you're saying. This language has been done deliberately to make you a buffoon. So
yeah,
you don't know. So you'll never learn. So you can't grow. That's what the language was actually. It's been bastardized against us so that we stay in the dark.
yeah, yeah. They'll use different dictionaries to the ones that we're given, and their
Mm-hmm.
language is different, and they act in commerce in a different language to us that we understand. And understand is just a legal definition as well, as we know, but it's all used to trick us and to keep
Mm-hmm.
our vibrational frequency low, for trying to stop us getting to where we are now and where we're going to. And the thing is, they can't stop us. They're not going to be able to stop us now. The
Mm-hmm.
ascension is happening in real time. We're in it,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to fly. And thanks to water, which they can't, the water's going, yeah,
They've tried. It wasn't actually completely successful, or we would not be having this conversation.
yeah, yeah, totally. Well, thank you very much for the conversation, Sonia. I really do appreciate it. And again, Femi, viewers, if you've got a subject that you'd like me and Sonia to talk about, I know the chakra system and the chakras has come up before, and we kind of have done that. But if there's anything you'd like me and Sonia to have a little chat about, a deep dive, or just a general conversation about bits and pieces, put it in the comments. Always read the comments. Sonia reads my comments. I read Sonia's comments when she puts it up on her channel. So if there's anything you want us to talk about, we are more than happy to cover it and both put our little slant on. And generally we're the same anyway. But but it's great to have Sonia be able to remote view literally to a question or to an inkling that we get, that we can then start to look into something a bit more deeply, that gives us the understanding and the aha moment, so then takes the fear or the worry about anything out of what's going on.
Yes. So definitely, please leave suggestions and we'll look at them.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
everybody, Sonja is obviously on YouTube, but she's actually on Patreon. And for a small fee, not only do you support Sonja, but you have access to Sonja in the personal, and you can ask her questions, and she'll do remote views for you. So if you can't wait, or because we'll only do generalized stuff, and obviously in Patreon as well, Sonja is able to talk in a way that you would not be able to on YouTube, and that's
Yes.
very, very interesting. So please do check out Sonja's Patreon. Um, I'll take a link from your channel and I'll put it in my description when I post this.
I'll do the same, and I will do the same. And I tell you that you're going to get more information from Gary, from me, and people like us than you will get from any mafia media. We are the real news going on in this reality. And this we're labeled as conspiracy theorists. How many of those conspiracy theorists are now conspiracy facts? And remember, the CIA coined that so everyone would think, oh, you're just a conspiracy nut. How many nutters are 100% correct now and have been found to be absolutely correct?
Yeah, yeah. I think we've actually run out of conspiracy theories now, haven't they? Because they've all been proven correct.
Yep, there's that. So I guess on that note, everybody have a great morning, afternoon, or night, depending on where you are. And we'll see you on our next live.
Thank you very much, Sonja. Thank you very much, Femi, and we'll catch you soon. Love, light, and blessings. Bye.
Bye.